Hello and welcome, it's Matt and James from Christopher Shaw Residential, and we thought we'd bring you a video today because today is the first day of the new lockdown, and as you can see we are still in the office. We have had a bit of a move around and a bit of a refurbishment, which is not quite finished yet, but is designed to make the office more usable. Obviously right at the moment we are open, but we are operating on a appointment-only basis, so everything is as normal as it can be, but yeah, please do call ahead if you plan to visit us for any reason. So James, I thought we'd speak about the industry, a few things that are happening. We've obviously had a few updates, but not completely clear on some points, but we'll let everyone know what we do know at this point.
Yeah, so unusually, they allowed our industry to stay open, which I think is a great testament to some of the work that agents have been doing since the government allowed us to open up again in May. Now social distance viewings, PPE, all that kind of stuff is normal. Making use of virtual video appointments, that kind of stuff has been going on now for over nearly 6 months.
Yeah.
So we've all worked really hard to sort of keep that going, and that may be why they've allowed us to keep working throughout this period. So viewings and things, all absolutely the same as normal, although the only restrictions now are that we can only have 2 households in a property. So that would be us taking you on the appointment and you, the person that is on the viewing with us. So we can't have 2, 3, 4, 5 groups, different households. So that doesn't really affect couples and families, but might well affect sharers. So that's something we have to be aware of going forward with appointments. Move-ins, all that kind of stuff can happen as normal still. That's for sales and lettings as well. So obviously the industry contributes quite a lot to the economy and what's going on at the moment. So to enable us to keep doing that, they obviously allowed us to stay open. So we have to respect that and we have to be careful with that, because if things go wrong or they don't get the results they want from the lockdown, then they'll surely shut us down again. So we've got to be really careful, but if we all stick by the rules and follow the make an appointment, wear masks, all that kind of stuff, then I'm sure we'll be absolutely fine. So, you know, it was a bit of a surprise, I think, to most of us when we opened the news on over the weekend and saw that they were going to allow us to stay open. But hey, we're here and we'll just have to work around whatever we have to work around. I think it has happened, unfortunately, probably at the time of year when things start getting a little bit quieter, Matt. And
yeah, there's a natural shift, I think, away from maybe the residential market. The student market normally kicks in around this time, and we have seen the students have started to come out and make inquiries, so that's a positive. I guess maybe they're thinking September next year when they're looking for their accommodation, that's probably going to be past this point of kind of COVID and craziness, so they're looking to make those preparations, which is good. But yeah, no, it is, as you say, starting to do the natural kind of slow decline into winter, but I suspect a little bit of that is where people probably aren't moving as freely as maybe they would normally. I don't think the demand has gone down, but I think the stock levels certainly have gone down.
We said that last month, I think, as well, and we said that you know, people are seemingly wanting to stay put at the moment
until they know more.
Until they know what's happening with work, how the winter will go, what their own situations are going to be. So we're seeing at the moment people tending to stick with their properties. Not many people are moving out, whereas in the summer it was a lot more. It was a lot freer. When we came out of lockdown, it was very, very busy. Whereas right now it's in a traditionally quieter time of year, and also we're in the middle of lockdown again. So it will depend on what people's views are and whether they want to go out viewing as well. But also, I think people wanting to stay put and just ride out the winter probably.
I think it's probably quite key to, this isn't something that we were preparing for. We've actually just heard on Sky News that they are looking to extend the furlough scheme up until March. That's obviously quite a big announcement because internally we had discussed about, you know, what would happen as we start to get to the end of furlough, and would we start to see more issues potentially with rent arrears and things like that. So having that news today, which is literally only just broken on the TV, is probably quite a good thing to take us through the Christmas period.
And I'll be honest, I don't think that we've had that many issues with arrears. There's been a few where we've had to work with tenants and followed what was expected of landlords and tenants to work together to reach a solution that works for everybody. But yeah, it's something which I think that we we haven't seen too much of, thankfully. And whether that is because of the job retention scheme or whether people have just been in a position to be able to keep paying and keep things going. I think as things settle down from when this first happened in March, I think we all feel that we know a little bit more about how to get through this. And I think working together on those type of things is good, and if that encourages people to talk, then that's even better.
Exactly.
So yeah, no, I think that as we were saying, yeah, that's quite a big contribution to hopefully keeping the market running and keeping it at a stable level. I think job security is a massive thing, and yeah, we predicted back in the summer that when it came to the end of that furlough period, that would be when we see how things turn out. But obviously that's been extended, so you know we'll just have to see how that one rolls.
So maintenance, James. Next one.
Yes.
Essential maintenance.
Yep.
There's been no guidance to say that general maintenance can't happen, but what we probably are going to suggest, just as it's sensible, is we'll probably be sending an email out to all of our tenants to suggest that, you know, try and focus on essential maintenance.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the question of what is essential to one person might not be essential to somebody else.
Yeah.
Obviously, this time of year we're going to get lots of boilers. Boiler things, boiler breakdowns, heating hot water is
Which
quite
would be essential.
Common at this time of year, essential. You know, I think it's cosmetic maintenance. This is probably the least important of anything like that. If people can put up with it for a couple of weeks, then that might be what we have to do. But you know, the essential stuff, electrics, heating, hot water, leaks, all that kind of stuff would all be absolutely normal as anyway.
Absolutely.
And having spoken to our contractors, you know, most of them are all ready and able if needed to be in this situation. So I think, you know, that I don't think there's many major concerns with that. It's also important to keep up with certificates. Having a lockdown is not an excuse not to do the certificates or put them back. There's no legislation or anything that allows for that. It was the same last time. Even during the height of the last lockdown, we still had to carry out normal safety inspections like gas safety certificates, that kind of thing. That is still expected and it still needs to be done. So that's, you know, an important point to consider as well. Obviously, we've only got a month that we know where this is happening for.
Yes,
but
which will go quick, I'm sure.
It will.
I'm glad you said compliance and certificates, because that brings me on to the last point, which we keep kind of hammering in on all of these videos, but it is something which is continuing to be a bugbear and a pain point when it comes to move-ins, move-outs, and just making sure that we have everything legally in place before a tenant can move in, and that's the EICR regulations.
Yes.
The Electrical Installation Condition Report, which was a new compliance document that came in this year, midway through the year, and is fully in by 1st of April next year.
Yeah, so there's only 5 months to go.
5 months. Time is kind of slipping away from us.
So for any new tenancy that started after the 1st of July this year, you had to have an EICR served to that tenant before they moved in, having the same importance as an EPC and a gas safety certificate.
So James, quickly on that one then, because we have had this come up a few times where we've had owners believe they have one.
Yeah.
It turns out they have an EPC. Can you just go through the difference between that so
EPC,
we know?
Energy Performance Certificate. It's the colourful document that you'll get on things like fridges, freezers, electrical equipment. It's supposed to be listed with the property, and it's a graph from A to G. Any tenancy in England that is starting now needs to have at least an EPC rating of E. So the EPC is the Energy Performance Certificate. EICR is the Electrical Installation Condition Report, and that's the one which came in from the 1st of July this year that needs to be served to the tenants, as well as the EPC and the gas safety certificate and the how to rent out guide and the deposit prescribed information. So those are your 4 things that you have to serve. The EICR is new. It needs to be one which if you have a satisfactory certificate as well, so you can't just get an inspection done and that's that. You need to have an inspection plus any remedial work done.
And that's where the problem comes in on a move-in. For example, if you book the EICR in 3 days before the move-in, that's great. We can potentially get the certificate, that's no problem. But then if there's any problems that come up with your EICR, your board is out of date, your wiring comes up with some issues that need fixing, flooring needs to be pulled up, anything like that can be quite a time-consuming, expensive and messy job. And it could impact on a potential move-in. So from what we've experienced probably in the last 4 months of doing the EICRs, it's better to do it when you're on the front foot as opposed to needing to do it before a move-in.
Yeah.
And it's best to get it booked in soon. Electricians, obviously, we anticipate will become very busy around April next year as everyone kind of floods to try and get this EICR in place, and you may struggle. And then you may not get the actual certificate back. There's one thing doing the job, there is another thing getting the certificate back from the electrician who's out all day really busy and maybe not the best with admin. Our electrician is very, very good in that. We tend to get the report back within 24 to 48 hours. Very, very efficient, and it is someone that we rely on and trust. So if you are using a third-party electrician, absolutely fine, but sometimes we found the cheapest has brought up some problems.
Also, if you've recently bought the property, or it was a new build when you bought it, sometimes you will have been given an EICR, electrical condition report, within your moving pack. So if you've got them, seek them out.
Yeah.
They last for 5 years. So if you completed on your property any time from around 2015 to now, obviously it needs to be absolutely within the dates. Then you may have one in your pack. Most commonly with new builds, not so much with normal transactions, but you might have them in there. So it's worth checking your completion packs, your moving packs, all that kind of stuff to see if you've got one. If you do, send it over to us. We can log it, make sure it's all sorted.
So I think that's pretty much all the major parts. As I say, we are still working from here, unless there's any other developments which come up. We are still going to be in the office now. You may find at times we will be on our first floor. We do have a maintenance floor as well where we work away, so we may be up there. This is again a reason why we ask you to call ahead, just so we can make sure that someone is down here for you. We are doing this already for our contractors who call ahead when they come to collect keys, but if you do need to visit us, please do call ahead or send us an email at the usual emails, and we'll be happy to meet you here. We have a new coffee station over there. It's all bubbling and nice and hot, so we'll welcome you to come and obviously have a chat, but obviously only if it's safe to do so.
In the meantime, stay safe, everyone. Look after yourselves during lockdown, and keep in touch. You know where we are if you need us. Thank you.
Take care, guys. Bye bye.